Hello everyone! So, here in Colorado, we are finally getting ready. Ponds are thawing. Some of them are thawed already, but we'll see how long that lasts because we got another cold front coming in. But we're getting real close to bass fishing. Actual good times bass fishing. So, I figured I would make a top 5 lures for late winter, early spring video, and let's just get into it. Number 1, we are going to start with search baits first. Always want to start with a search bait or two. And so we're going to start with those, talk about how to fish them and why and all that stuff. First and foremost, as soon as the ice gets off the lake, I do this before the ice gets on the lake, when the water temps are low 40s. This is the first bait that I always have tied on, and that is an A-rig. I love the A-rig from that 40 degree to 50 degree water temp. You can fish it year round, but in those real cold water temperatures, I really love the A-rig. It's great imitating a school of bait. You can fish it at any depth. You can slow wind it. You can fish it faster. It's just a great search bait. Cover a ton of water with it. It looks like a school of bait, and it's just get you those big bites. And it's just a lot of fun to throw. As far as A-rigs, this is the original Flash Mob. I really love the Flash Mob Junior. I have a video all on the A-rig and what I fish and why I like it and all that. So, link up there. Go watch that video. I'm not going to really go into it just so we can save some time here. If you really want to know about the A-rig and why it's awesome and how to fish it and all that stuff, go check out that video. Next, as far as search baits go, lipless crankbait, a trap, which these aren't really traps. The cotton cordell rattle trap is a trap, but everyone calls lipless crankbaits traps, especially down south. Whatever, but lipless crankbait. What is great about these is you can just slow roll them on the bottom. That's really what I like to do. Any depth, just like the A-rig. But you can just throw them out there. Any depth. I like to slow roll them on the bottom. Pop them out of little sparse grass that is starting to pop up. Or if you just kind of hit a rock, pop it out of that. You know, things like that. Or you can yo-yo it, which works phenomenally. And you're just going to cast it out there. Pull it up. Let it come up. Let it fall back down. And just do that. Again, reel down your slack, pull it up, and just yo-yo it back to you. And you can get phenomenal bites on it. The reason why the yo-yo technique really works is it's like a dying shad or a dying fish, really. But especially shad, they cannot stand the cold weather. Shad in your lakes are going to die off really quick. When it gets cold, that's why they're really popular down south. Here in Colorado, up north and stuff, they're not really around that much. It's mostly bluegill, perch, fish that can withstand that colder temperature a lot more than shad. So actually both of those are kind of shad baits, because really the A-rig, I'm only going to throw it in shad lakes. I'm not going to be throwing the A-rig if it's a bluegill pond or a lake where I know it's predominantly bluegill. I just am not. The A-rig to me is a school of bait like shad. An A-rig just symbolizes a school of shad. I'm just saying that. But the lipless crankbait can be fished as a bluegill or a shad or a perch or whatever. A crawfish. Actually, let's talk about the crawfish. So everyone will see this. This ain't red. That's another thing that people are obsessed with down south or east and all that stuff. You gotta be fishing red in the early spring. No. Maybe down there, down over here. Nope. I am imitating the bait fish. Number one, I'm gonna spit some knowledge on you. I know that crawfish really don't come out of their holes too much until it's about 50-degree water temp, so I'm not going to be throwing it until about then. That's why it's different when you're down in Texas or whatever. Do they ever get under 50-degree water temps? No, not really. So, here, really cold water, I'm imitating a bait fish with that thing. Also, we don't really have red craws. If you look at every single crawfish we have in this state and up north, they're blue. We have blue craws, olive craws. Now, crawfish do, when they shed their shells, they do look kind of a reddish color. They get bright. I get that. Whatever. I think that's very rare because when they shed their shells, they usually burrow. They don't move. It's totally a different freaking thing. So, as far as lipless crankbaits, I am going natural colors. This is a silvery shad color. That's just the one that I grabbed out. Bluegill colors, perch colors, whatever. Just a natural color is what I'm going with. Natural bait fish color. This is a Strike King Red Eye Shad. I also love the Lucky Craft LV500, which is expensive, but you can get these red eye shads at any tackle shop for like $5. So, as far as weight, half ounce, you cannot go wrong whether you're pond fishing, kayak, boat, whatever. You're out deep, you're out shallow, whatever. Half ounce is just the best all around in that lipless crankbait. Next is going to be kind of a search bait, but kind of not. And now we're getting into the slower sort of techniques. I'm going to be throwing those first two to try to locate fish. Once we kind of find them, we find a school out deep, we're going to go to a jerkbait. Jerkbait can absolutely murder this time of year. Another reason why is because it looks like a dying shad. So, I'm going to say jerkbaits do not work great in ponds too much. You can catch them. They do work. I'm not saying they don't completely work. But where you're really going to find great success with a jerkbait is in shad lakes or shad ponds. You even have like little tiny ponds that have shad in them here. Same with down south and all that. But so even ponds. The main thing, and this has nothing to do with time of year, is just know your food source. But with that being said, I will also throw a bluegill one in bluegill predominant lakes or ponds. But really, a lot of times when I go to the jerkbait, I'm imitating shad again. So this is like a KVD 10-footer dive-in jerkbait with the 3 trebles. There's a few jerkbaits. Like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description for all these baits. That thing's great. This is a little pointer, Lucky Craft pointer. These are awesome as well. I really like these more in kind of ponds and stuff, if they're deep enough ponds, because these do run deep. Each of these run about 10 feet. The next one is an absolute killer in early spring. There's actually just a tournament, just one on this down in Texas, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago actually, I think. 40 pounds, colder water than typical Texas time, whatever, right now, and it works great once the water gets up to 45 to 50, and this thing will crush it, and it is a football jig. Thing with the football jig is I am imitating crawfish more than anything. You can kind of use them to imitate more bluegill and stuff like that, but I just think of this thing, the way I fish it, the way it looks, just as a craw. So, at 45 to 50 degree water temps, once they hit that temperature, this thing can murder. Not saying you won't catch them when the water's just hitting 40, starting to thaw, all that stuff. But really, once you get to 45 and 50, you can just drag this thing and catch a ton, and some real good ones. 3/4 ounce football jig, the best all around. You don't have to screw with anything else, I don't think. You can, but we're not going to get into that. Just if you're going to buy some, 3/4 ounce. Don't worry about anything else, really. These are great on deeper water. Just those 10-foot plus drops, rock points. Not great in grass. You should know that. Football heads do not come through grass that great. If it's very sparse grass, it can actually work really good. Just dragging this thing. Really, dragging can just be phenomenal on rock points, ledges, any sort of hard bottom cover. But really, I can use that as a search bait as well. Just cast out there when you're in a pond and drag it through, and then find yourself the bottom. Like, if you don't have a depth finder or whatever, you can find the bottom composition with a football jig. Really good. As far as colors, keep it simple. I usually just go green pumpkin or brown. Like I mentioned here, throwing, like, there's blue crawfish and all that. Throwing a little bit of blue can't hurt you, but I do not go crazy. Keep it natural. Green pumpkin or brown with a green pumpkin trailer, and you're fine with that. Also, the other way to fish that football head jig, which is very popular down south and like Kentucky Lake and all that stuff, is instead of just slowly dragging it, because when I'm talking dragging it, for those of you that don't know, just dragging it, roll up your slack, drag it, roll up your slack, drag it really slow. Okay, this is going to be a slow technique too, but it'll give you some more action, something more to do for people that hate dragging or whatever. I can't fish slow, which I am like that sometimes, or a lot of times, is stroking. Yeah, it sounds terrible. You're doing the same thing. You're casting it out on that point. You're casting it out on that ledge, on that rock pile, whatever. You let it hit bottom, and then you just jerk up. That's going to bring the jig up, and then have it fall back down. And you're just going to do that. Instead of dragging, you're just doing more of a pop. And that quick. Pop, like that. Straight over your head. Straight at your face. Okay? Just pop. And that's just going to bring that jig up, let it fall back down. Bring it up, fall back down. That's it. And you can get slaughtered on that thing. That is the other great thing about that, is the bites are usually pretty hard. You know you gotta fish. And it's just, next is going to be fished pretty much the exact same way. And we're getting into finesse stuff now. So, we will start with what I'm going to go with, and then we'll get into what everyone else fishes, and yeah. But next is a tube. You guys know I love the tube. It is my go-to deep water smallmouth bait. Works for largies great as well. But it's just kind of like the football jig, but now you're using a light line on a spinning rod, 6 to 10 pound test, real light line, lighter little tube, about 1/8 of an ounce is my favorite. Go up to 1/4 sometimes as well, but it's slower of a movement, And the great thing I love about the tube is that it's slower. Okay? The jig, it's going to pop up, that's going to fall back down. It's going to pop up, that's going to fall back down. The tube is awesome because of it being hollow and all that. It pops up and it flutters down. It pops up slower and then it flutters back down. Gives them longer time to bite this thing. They both have their place, but if the bite is more difficult, say I see them on the depth finder, I know they're there, whatever, or this is a spot, I know they're there, they should be. If this isn't working, I'm going to go to the tube, and it's imitating the exact same thing, a crawfish, but it's slower moving, gives them more time to think about it and bite it. As far as colors, green pumpkin, can't go wrong. Okay? I'm not going crazy with colors, ever. The last thing is, instead of the tube, you throw a Ned rig. Okay, we're done. Just kidding. The Ned rig. People love this thing. It's so stupid. The Ned rig is nothing new. It's nothing spectacular. It is a light head with a hook. That's all it is. As you can tell, this is a bigger worm. This is like a 4-inch worm on there. People throw these little tiny things. I don't do that. If I'm gonna throw the Ned rig, it is gonna be a bigger worm. I put a full 6-inch on these. I'm not gonna throw that little stupid chunk. I'm sorry. But it really can work in the winter really well. Because of it falls even slower than the tube. It just, it's so boring. Super slow. Just drag it on the bottom. Yeah. I hate the Ned rig. That's why I never talk about it. And it's so easy and stupid to fish. And, if you want to maybe catch a lot of little dinks, throw the Ned rig. There's the 5 baits that will be tied on as soon as I can go fishing. Not just the weather, just busyness. Being an adult sucks. But as soon as I can, these 5 will be tied on rods and ready to go. But anyway, I will see you guys on the next one.